What is going on, everyone? Welcome into BP Insights. So let's get into it. So let's talk carnivore diet. So I think, it is just a shame that people just don't do carnivore diet, honestly. I just don't. It's kind of like I talked about the last episode. There's only so much convincing you can do. There's just like, you kind of like Sean Baker was interviewing someone on the carnivore. When you do the carnivore diet, you kind of just have to walk the walk. You can't really try to convince people to do it, because a lot of people have just been stuck in their ways. And Sean Baker made the point too. The guy that's like the carnivore doctor, he's been on Rogan a couple of times. Like, it's only been about 12. Like, people have been eating dairy now for a while now. Like, people have been eating other stuff. So I think that's why people have become, McDonald's, Taco Bell, fast food, all this junk food, a lot of it's relatively new in regards to the entire, course of history. But you got to think, like, we've been, like milk, dairy, which I'm not into dairy. I can't do dairy. A lot of that stuff is fairly new. I know a lot of people can do dairy. I think, because dairy's been around. I think he was saying dairy's been around for 12,000 years. So that's about, that's not a whole lot of time to get the chance to evolve, to adapt to being able to eat dairy. I think that's why a lot of people are lactose intolerant, is just because, evolution takes place over, hundreds, thousands of years sometimes. And I think for some people, they can eat dairy, no problem. Those are the people that have kind of, their evolution has taken place in favor for them. So they can eat the dairy with no problem. But, there's still a lot of people that have issues with dairy. So that's why I choose not to eat dairy, strictly just meat, preferably New York strips, ribeye. Really a big fan of thick cut New York strip. It's got to be grass fed. It's interesting. He was saying that there's not much of a difference between grass fed and like a normal fed, or a grass fed and like some of the store bought, which is like corn fed, and sometimes it's got like extra hormones in it and stuff like that. I was surprised by that. I thought there was a difference between. He said there's grass fed's definitely healthier, but he said it's not like grass fed isn't like a whole heck of a lot healthier. It's interesting to me. I thought for sure grass fed would be a lot healthier, but turns out grass fed is healthier, but it's not a whole lot healthier. Which I guess when I really think about this deeply, I guess it makes sense, because when I've eaten when I eat like store bought burgers, when I eat meat that's not grass fed, I still feel really good, but you just don't get. I don't really feel the same benefits as the grass fed. When you eat grass fed, that's just like the best. You can tell it's fresh. You can just tell it's just true. That is about as true. Eating about as true to your ancestors hundreds of thousands of years ago. Eating about as true to cavemen, because think about, cavemen were eating, grass fed, or they were eating, cattle that was, that was fresh, cattle that was eating right, cattle that was not, in poor environments and just fed crap. But yeah, huge believer in carnivore diet. I like a lot of things I hear. I love some of the success stories of people doing it. A lot of people, I think that's why it's become trending, and it's drawn so much interest, because a lot of people that have done it, they did it to save their life. It wasn't just, there's obviously some people that just do it to just try it, just to kind of screw around, but there's a lot of people that do it to try to save their life. Talking about people down to 69 pounds, struggling, autoimmune disorders, not keeping food down, irritable bowel disease, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, all of these different issues, acne, skin issues, problems with their teeth. You hear about all these issues on carnivore diet, and they were all just cleared up. So, and that's the thing. There's no. I get annoyed because there's studies anecdotally that are wrong about carnivore diet, but no one talks about, like, there hasn't been a true. I guess there was supposed to be one to come out. There hasn't been a true study testing the effects of only eating meat. I think that's why a lot of people are skeptical of the carnivore diet, because there is just a lot. It's just a lot of anecdotal evidence that carnivore is good, but there's just like so many accounts. There's so much anecdotal evidence. Like, you hear, like, how many people have you heard go on it and had a negative experience, not lose weight, not look healthier, not their skin not clear up, their teeth not look better? Like, how many people have you heard? Like, that's the thing. Even though this is all, anecdotal evidence, there has been no true study. And some of the studies on carnivore diet have been people that have been eating junk along with the meat, like ice cream and pie and stuff like that. So that's what they really need, is a study purely just looking at the effects of when you eat red meat. You need just test someone on carnivore diet, preferably for, multiple months at a time, only eating, New York strip, preferably grass-fed meat, only just on a strict carnivore diet, and study that person for a few months and study their health and study their lab workout. And people need to shut up about some of these articles that just talk about LDL cholesterol being high. You talk about Dr. Sean Baker. I trust this guy, so I have to trust, he made the point, your LDL cholesterol levels being high does not really matter if you're a healthy person. That's a myth. So you look at that's what really worries you about how much much complete bullshit and misinformation is on the internet. Because if you look, I researched why carnivore diet is bad just so I could find some issue with the diet, and that's what they're talking about. High LDL cholesterol is bad. Bullshit. Talk about how it can screw up the whatever in your gut, the microbiomes in your gut. Well, actually, your stomach is pretty versatile and can adjust to it. That's false. So there's just so much. All the negatives on carnivore diet is just a bunch of complete bullshit. It's a bunch of false. And then they even said, quote, in this one article, that it was anecdotal evidence for something. I forget exactly what it was. So basically, they're saying that they're just going off of hearsay too. Now, it makes me sound hypocritical because I'm going off of, well, I guess I can attest because I've done a carnivore diet now for give or take 2 years, but I've went off of basically anecdotal evidence for the but I haven't heard any negatives. I think that's the thing. I think you can argue all day that a lot of the people for carnivore diet are just basing it off of, what other people have said about it, all just strictly all anecdotal evidence, no controlled studies, no controlled verified studies by any university. People can argue that point, but if it's all good things and no negatives, then don't you have to be living in don't you have to be a little bit delusional to not at least be intrigued by that? Like, if someone told you that, if people didn't know working out was good for you, and there was all just people saying, working out, if you had everyone say, if there was no controlled study that working out has health benefits, but everyone says, and there's no one saying no one saying that working out is negative for you, wouldn't you have to say, yeah, working out must be good for you? Working out has good benefits. Even though that's not the best example because people know working out is good for you, but you kind of catch my drift here. Just if you hear so many anecdotal stories of it being good and no negative stories besides the only negative stories being when people deferred from the diet, don't you think that there's got to be something to it? Doesn't it think you should draw some intrigue? It just goes back to sometimes people are just kind of stubborn and stuck in their ways. There's always going to be. You talk about there's kind of three different types of people when they hear when they hear about something that's good for them. There's always the people that would never do it, the people that think about it but probably would never do it, or if they did do it, would try it. And then there's the people that would do it, but they would probably only do it and then there's the people that would be all in, So you kind of always have the three different types of people. The people that would hear about carnivore diet, even the benefits, continue to practice cognitive dissonance and not do it. And then the people in the middle who probably would think about it, be intrigued by it, but never do it, and then think about it, and kind of the people close to them, the people intrigued by it, never do it, and then the people on the extreme of they would do it and they're all in. Kind of me, Sean Baker, a lot of people, Joe Rogan, people that do it. I guess you can kind of argue that Joe Rogan's maybe somewhat one of the people in the middle, if you will, of the people I just explained, because he doesn't always do it. But yeah, you feel like there is those three extremes. But yeah, I wish everyone would do it. It makes you wonder. It's kind of, I always argued this. I always say this. I feel like show me Show me a person, if everyone in the U.S. went on a carnivore diet and followed it to a T, show me an obese person a year from now. Now, you could argue if there was someone like 800, 900, 1,000 pounds, now you probably wouldn't be able to lose, 700 pounds in a year. But look at all the people that have lost 200-300 pounds in a year on a carnivore diet. So to me, obviously this would never happen. But if everyone went on a carnivore diet, I would like to show me one person that, number one, didn't lose weight, and show me one person that's still obese and still unhealthy. I would love to see it. I would love to see it because there's not a chance it would ever happen. I think that's what's crazy. Like, you look at so many people just like, a lot of people, it's kind of like the people that are unhealthy eating shit are kind of like the people that smoke and know smoking is bad for them, but just that pleasure of smoking just kind of overrides any thoughts of changing their habits for their long-term safety, long-term health. Same kind of thing. I just think there's just too many people that would just never give up cookies and donuts, the dopamine hit. That's what I was telling someone the other day. Like, you got to think about carnivore diet. I feel like carnivore diet's for people that think long term. Okay, let me explain. When you think, if you're a person that just only thinks short term, then you're probably a fan. You're probably a Taco Bell, Dunkin' Donuts person, because you're damn right you can get a short-term dopamine hit pleasure from binge eating a bunch of Taco Bell or binge eating donuts. But when you eat steak, burger, you're thinking long-term. Like, I worked out for over 2 hours today. Had some steaks after. I'm thinking long-term here. I'm thinking, okay, I worked out. I feel good. Let me have some steaks. It's going to fuel my body, give me the protein I need, make me feel full long, and it's going to sustain me energy to the next day when I do my workout. So that's the thing. I'm always thinking long term. I think that's why I'm, even before carnivore diet, when you're smart enough, when you have the presence of mind to make good calculated decisions, I think you really think you have to be a person that definitely thinks long term. Obviously, it's not bad to think in the short term, but thinking long term and looking at the whole picture is huge. And I think there's a lot of people that just don't think long term with anything. Like, you look at, like, you could take this to male, like, just males being weak, males being beta. Like, you look at, like, I remember this fat fuck at the store I go to. I'm not gonna say what store, but he's just like, he stands there by the self-checkout, can barely even look anyone in the eyes, fat, weak. I mean, just no muscle tone. You can tell he's got no confidence. I'm thinking, like, if you're thinking short term. Here's the thing. This goes back. This fits in, kind of in perfect with the argument. If he's thinking short term, he's probably thinking, "Oh, it's lunchtime, McDonald's. Let me binge eat a couple Big Macs. Let me feel better about myself, and then I'll just get back to standing by this shitty ass self checkout." So that he's thinking short term. But the long term, what are the long term consequences with this guy? Probably diabetes. Probably struggles to get women. Probably struggles to network because he can't socialize with people. Probably struggles with getting respected by other men, respect from his family. So you think about in the short term, he's thinking, oh, Big Mac's, fries. But in the long term, this is an emergency. His reproductive's at risk. His reproductive safety is unsafe. He's not confident. He can't look anyone in the eyes. It's a long, like, he's thinking short term. But in the long term, this is a risk, and this is why too many men, even men that play Fortnite, even men, like, if you're a man, then let's say if you're a man and you woke up like me at 4 a.m. today and you worked out for 2 hours, then you worked the rest of the time, ate a couple steaks, and then let's say right now you're going to choose to play Fortnite. You're thinking, okay, look, I accomplished a lot, but I'm gonna play Fortnite. I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna relax and play Fortnite. You think about that. Sounds like a good in the short term, that sounds like a good decision. But in the long term, that's potentially, time you spent from posting on your YouTube channel, time you spent working your business, time you could be spending approaching women, time you could be spending learning things, time you could be spending getting more religious, getting closer to God. So that's a opportunity cost that may not be effective in the long term. I think that's why I stopped playing video games, stopped drinking alcohol, because you got to think when you're trying to self-improve. That's why guys that are really on their grind, they just don't eat. Like, you ask them about alcohol, video games, it's just not even in their reality, because it's just like it's just too much short-term thinking. Like, you can't. It's like, and then it's so much harder to succeed drinking alcohol. I remember. What's the guy's name? He was on Fresh and Fit. Justin, fuck's the guy's name? Justin something. He was on Fresh and Fit. But anyways, he's making the point about, drinking alcohol and smoking weed a lot and trying to have success. It's kind of like going through every day with your one hand tied behind your back. It's like, can you have success doing that? Like, maybe, but like, you're just making life so much harder on yourself. Like, why not just try to succeed with a clear mind, eating well, healthy, strong, in shape? It's so much easier. It's so much smooth sailing to try to find success that way, instead of it's kind of just like, I'm going to try to win this race. Let me just shoot myself in the foot real quick. It is kind of like shooting yourself in the foot, I guess, if you want to just take that analogy. So just so much harder to succeed when you have stuff hindering you, like alcohol and stuff like that. But yeah, a lot of people talk about the cost of carnivore diet, and I'm thinking, like, If you want to find a way to do something, you find a way. Like, you think about people, like, do obese people think about, like, the cost? Like, you hear stories about people that were fat as shit, maybe like they've lost weight, and they'll tell the story about, the shitty things they did. And they talk about they were like fast food 3 times a day. I'm thinking, like, think about that adds up. You think $10 a pop each time, that's $30 right there. That's 3-4 steaks, $30. Like, you think that's the thing. People say carnivore diet is expensive, but you got to think, like, if you get takeout, especially if you have a girlfriend or whatever, that's potentially at least $25-$30, maybe more. And sometimes people do that twice a day, not to mention the snacks they get at the vending machine or the drinks they buy at the party store. You got to think that adds up quickly. Because you got to, like, even if you go to McDonald's, like, even if you have a day where you just buy like a few snacks and then you go to like even if you at one sitting at McDonald's, even if you get $2 menu items or 2 cheaper items, I guess they don't have the dollar menu. I don't even fucking know. If you get a couple cheaper items and a fry, maybe you get out of there with like spending like $5-$6, but still, that's like, and then you do that twice a day, that's already $12, $18, $20 some dollars. And then you buy a couple drinks at the party store, that's like almost $30 a day that's gone. And you don't think about it adding up, because you think, McDonald's is kind of cheaper. Taco Bell's got some deals. But you do that 2-3 times a day with some drinks, some snacks added. Don't forget paying for gas too, driving there. So you got to think that shit adds up too. Because and then people say about carnivore, but it's like, the thing about carnivore diet, you eat a couple steaks, you're not hungry for a while. Maybe you do have to, some people do have to eat 2-3 meals a day with carnivore, but you're full for longer. So you don't really need snacks in between, like popcorn or chips or a candy bar. So you're satisfied for longer. But yeah, it is kind of too bad, all the weak men. Like, you look at, like, I think about that guy at the store, and it does kind of make you sad, but it's kind of like, he's kind of like the same people that never want to try a carnivore diet because they think it's stupid or they think it's too extreme. He's kind of just like the guy who, I don't want to go to the gym every day. I don't want to get better approaching women. I don't want to get more confident. I don't want to take the risk of trying to run this business and failing. He's kind of like that guy. He's lit. You don't want to just say every dude is matrix minded, slave bound, but he kind of is. He's got a mask on too. It's just like, and you don't even want to say this sentence, born to fail, but it's kind of true. Like he's born to fail. Like it's just what I mean, fuck it. We're unhinged here. It is kind of just a disrespect to his parents, to his father, because his father was at least good enough, at least portrayed enough value to a woman to give birth to him. He just stands at the self-checkout. Have a nice day. Like, that's your life? Your ancestors worked so hard, went through all that shit just for you to stand at the self-checkout, not even at the checkout, because you don't even have enough confidence to talk to people there, and just say have a nice day without making eye contact, fat, weak, with a mask on, slave-minded. Like, that's your life? That's a life you want to live? Like, that's awful. Like, that is fucking awful. I tell you what. But it's just like, at some point, it's almost kind of, then at some point I think to myself, it's almost kind of weird I care that much. Sometimes you're almost just like, fuck it. Let him lose. Let me have more success. Let this guy have more success. Let this guy over here have more success. These guys are on their grind. I saw a couple other guys with me at the gym, 5:30, 6 a.m. We'll let those guys have success, reap the benefits of being a man. We'll let this guy stay behind. Just let him be a fat dork. And like you look at like fucking, like there's some security guys too. Like you look at, I shouldn't even, okay, whatever. Fuck it, we'll go there. Look at some of these guys, they just drive around. Like some of mall security are some of the weakest motherfuckers. They'll just drive around, guts so fat they have to like sink down in their chair because it like hits the steering wheel. And they just get McDonald's. And sometimes they just don't, like they don't even, like there's an issue at the store, they just fucking try to avoid it. Call the cops. I'm thinking these are some of the most beta male motherfuckers you'll ever meet. And obviously I'm trying to improve myself and trying to become more alpha, masculine, carry myself better. But I'm thinking like, just what a bunch of fucks. Like what a bunch of fucking losers. Like why that, like just, that's just it's so stupid, man. It's ridiculous. I'm just like, you're driving like this because your gut's going to hit the steering wheel and you just get McDonald's fucking twice a day. Like just what a life. What a fucking waste. Fucking ancestors your fucking ancestors work so hard for you to just binge eat McDonald's and drive low so your steering wheel doesn't hit your fat ass gut. Fucking ridiculous. But yeah, it is cool. I think a lot of men are self-improving. I think a lot of men do, I think it's cool. Justin Waller was talking about fitness has got to be number one. And I agree because when you're in shape, you just garner respect from people, and it doesn't necessarily make women attracted to you, but it does help them respect you. I think that's a key thing when you're talking about women are not necessarily attracted to muscles and guys that are in shape, but they are. It helps girls that are attracted to you and like you. It helps them respect you more. I think that's the key difference. I don't think it necessarily makes them like you or attracted to you. Well, I think it helps them be attracted to you somewhat, but it more so just adds to the respect factor. But yeah, just being in shape is so key. Justin Waller, Mike, you look at a guy like Justin Waller, this guy's all about business, right? But he tells Mike Thurston he puts fitness number one. And that's pretty powerful from him. This guy's in the war room with Andrew Tate. He's close friends with Andrew Tate. Obviously, he's friends with Mike Thurston. He was on his podcast. I think this was a little bit ago. It was like a year, maybe. Could have been 2 years ago. I think it's been a year ago now. Or it might have been maybe less than a year ago in the fall. But you look at a guy like Justin Waller and you're like, saying fitness number one is pretty powerful. Because, yeah, this is a guy that owns construction business. He's a guy that, he's all about business, making money. That's what he wants to talk about. But, yeah, he puts fitness number one. But yeah, I think you got to find that happy medium too, because if you do fitness too much, you're kind of over dip in one bucket. Like I think that's why I'm kind of went back to old school. I'm doing a couple of fucking workouts today. 14 different workouts, 5 sets to 10 on the reps. Some abs, some chest, some legs, a little bit of everything. Kind of going back old school, just because I don't want to slip up and kind of put the gym too much to the side. I think that's kind of unhealthy. I was kind of thinking I was getting a little soft. So you kind of want to go back to your old school roots, if you will, just, a nice hardcore workout on a day. So that's what I did. So that felt good. But yeah, you don't want to be too fixated on fitness. You also want to, spend some time with your family, get closer to God if you are religious, and then run your, work your business, work hard at your job, try to move up, whatever you're trying to do. So fitness is always got to play a role in there too. Wherever that fits, it's got to fit somewhere. Whether it's, even if it's not number one, it's got to fit somewhere in the, as far as religious, business, spending time with your family, it's got to fit somewhere in there. But yeah, it's got to be important. But yeah, I think the more and more you learn about self-improvement is kind of the more aha moment is you got to just be getting better every day. I think a lot of guys just aren't improving daily. I think that's really tough. That is, you talk about, I think the more you think about depression, the more that really ties into it. Because if you're not, how can you be depressed if you're improving every day? Like if I was to, let's take tomorrow. Like if tomorrow I'm going to get up at 4 a.m., work out 2 hours, go to work, get better at my business, do another podcast episode, have my best episode of my podcast. And then I'm going to do that for the next 2-3 weeks. And I'm going to get better and better. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get smarter. If I'm going to do that for the next 2-3, how can you become depressed from that? You got to believe it's pretty hard. It's kind of like, it's too much forward momentum. That's what self-improvement kind of is. It's forward momentum. It's not looking back. It's like when you take a step back, that can be hard because you take a step back. Sometimes you take 2 steps back. 2 steps back. That's the thing. It's like, it goes back to Bo Schembechler. Bo Schembechler was a former Michigan football coach. Maybe he's not the best role model to look up, but I think his quote was spot on. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. It's so true. You don't really stay the same. It's very hard. I shouldn't even say very hard. It just doesn't. You just don't stay the same. And what I mean by that, because like tomorrow I'm going to do what I did today, and at least what I did today, maybe a little harder, maybe push myself a little more, maybe learn a bit more. So I'm going to get better tomorrow. If you think about guys that are depressed, let's say I did all that today, and then tomorrow I'm just going to choose to play Fortnite and eat Cheetos all day. And then the day after that, I'm going to play Fortnite and eat Cheetos all day. And then the day after that, I'm going to choose to play Fortnite and eat Cheetos all day. So I'm slowly, not just taking 1 step back, I'm taking like 2 steps back. Because one day, 4 a.m., gym 2 hours, work all day, podcast, a lot of things to improve. And then now just Fortnite, your body's like, what the heck? We were on a path to improvement. Now, wait a minute, there's... your body like produces stress. You're not doing what you're supposed to do to improve, and then that stress compounds, and then you start to feel anxiety, depression. So that's the thing. You think about, it's just one day binge eating Cheetos and Fortnite, but then, so you do it one day a week, and then it becomes 2 days a week, and then 3 days a week, and then slowly you're anxious, depressed, on medication, and then you start to do that because you look up stupid shit. You look up false articles on the internet saying that video games can help improve depression, anxiety, and then you keep playing video games, and then you just feel even worse, and then you're on more medication, and it's just a slow spiral of hell, and it actually sounds horrible. That's the other thing I was thinking. Like when you're self-improving, like me sitting down playing Fortnite, eating Cheetos, just sounds awful. Like it sounds fucking horrible. Like you might as well just. I don't even want to. I won't even say that. You might as well just like that. Just sounds awful. Like that's the thing you talk about. Like I think it was David Goggins had the quote. You want to start to become uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. You want to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think too many guys are comfortable being comfortable. And that's the thing, when you're self-improving, the uncomfortable does start to actually seem, or the comfortable starts to seem uncomfortable. Like if I were to play video games and eat Cheetos now, even if it was only for the next hour, I would feel horrible. Like my brain would be like, what the fuck is this? Like, so you got to just become comfortable being uncomfortable. I think it's a great statement. I think it was well said by Goggins. But yeah. So yeah, guys, we're gonna wrap with that. Thanks for tuning in to BP Insights. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.